Manchester United are close to agreeing a new contract with their captain Bruno Fernandes, which could keep him at the club potentially until 2028. For more on the details of this, James Savundra is with me. James, he's 30 next month, but what do we know about the specifics for Bruno?
Well, what was really interesting, in May, he spoke about his future and almost cast doubt on whether or not he'd be remaining as a Manchester United player in the long term, because he said he'd leave Manchester United if the club doesn't want to have me. Clearly, the club have shown they want to have him by agreeing to this new contract they have with him. Now, this would take him up to nearly 34 if the option of that additional year to take him up to 2028 was extended. I mean, he was such an important part of Manchester United's resurgence, I guess, under Erik ten Hag towards the back end of last season, where it felt like Erik ten Hag could potentially be out of his job, but he played such a pivotal role in getting Manchester United to the FA Cup final, which they then won. He laid on the assist for Kobbie Mainoo, which was eventually the winner, the decisive goal in that game. And Erik ten Hag decided that he was the right man to be Manchester United captain, replacing Harry Maguire as a captain before the start of last season. So this brings to an end any speculation that he could be departing Old Trafford. It's worth bearing in mind the impact that he's had since joining Manchester United back in 2020, 4.5 years ago. More than 230 appearances for the club. He's picked up the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and featured in the Europa League final as well. But he's made clear he wants Manchester United to be challenging at the top, like Manchester United did 20 years ago, challenging for silverware. And that's one thing Ineos have stressed they want United to do once again under Sir Jim Ratcliffe, leading things with this new recruitment team in place with Dan Ashworth as sporting director as well. They want Manchester United to be challenging for the Premier League and the Champions League moving forward. And I think securing the future of Bruno Fernandes is a huge deal for Manchester United, because this is somebody who's so durable. The fact is, yes, he is 30 years of age now, but in May, that was the first time he's missed a match for Manchester United through injury. He's been incredibly durable. He's the talisman for this side. There's a lot of young, exciting signings that have been made this window. In the last window, Rasmus Højlund joining last summer, Joshua Zirkzee joining. We've seen Lenny Yoro, one of the most exciting defenders in world football, joining the football club this summer. But Bruno Fernandes is the man to hopefully lead Manchester United, if you're a Manchester United fan, into an exciting new era. The third season under Erik ten Hag, and I think it's a huge part of United's summer business, not only bringing players in, but tying down those players that they see being part of the long-term future.
Yeah, he scored goals, made goals, as we saw in the FA Cup final, in a difficult period for the club. I suppose it brings stability and underscores a busy window, doesn't it? Do you think it's a good summer as we look at it for Erik ten Hag on paper?
I think so. If they are to sign 2 more players over the course of the next few days, that'll be 4 signings in this window. Now, this is the first summer window that Ineos have had to take control of the direction of the club from a sporting perspective. Omar Barada joining as CEO, Christopher Vell joining as head of recruitment, and as I mentioned, Dan Ashworth joining as a sporting director, Jason Wilcox joining as technical director this year alone. So United really putting things together to build this platform and foundation for Erik ten Hag, who they've decided is the right man to lead United forward into this new era, to give him all he needs to be successful with the Manchester United side. Bruno Fernandes was as disappointed as any other player last season. The fact United finished 8th in the Premier League, had a disastrous Champions League campaign, not even qualifying 3rd in their groups. They went out of Europe altogether in December. I think it's a really important step for them to secure his future, because there are a number of players who are entering the final year of their contract. Bruno Fernandes still has another 2 years to run. But it's important they didn't get into a situation where he'd not agreed a new deal next summer, and then he'd be in a situation where he had less than 12 months to run on his contract. And that's when United would have a decision to make about whether you sell someone who's been so vital for Manchester United, but that'll be the final window they can get big money for him, or you could risk losing him at the end of his contract. So a really important piece of business done by Manchester United. And also it shows that Bruno Fernandes clearly believes in the project at the club as well, and has been impressed by what they've been doing behind the scenes and in terms of recruitment in the last few weeks as well. So a really important bit of business, keeping their captain and tying him down for the
Manchester United at the heart of the activity this weekend. How close are they signing, or close to signing Matthijs de Ligt, are they?
Well, they're very close, because they've agreed a deal now with Bayern Munich, the deal worth up to 50 million euros, 44.5 million up front, plus 5 million in add-ons. And this is now subject to de Ligt passing his medical. And the hope will be, from a Manchester United point of view, with the injury concerns they have at the back, that they can sign him in time to be available to take on Fulham in the opening night of the Premier League season on Friday. Now, he's another player that United will sign who has worked under Erik ten Hag before. He was 19, a teenager at Ajax, when Ajax went all the way to the semi-finals of the Champions League, and Ten Hag at the time tipped him to become one of the world's best central defenders. Since then, he's had spells at Juventus and Bayern Munich, and at 24 has a point to prove still. But the shows there still is potential there for him to go on and be what Ten Hag thought he would be 5 years ago. So he was in London yesterday, an unused substitute for Bayern Munich in their friendly against Tottenham, and dialogue had remained open between Bayern Munich and Manchester United over the course of the summer, really, as United looked to try and strengthen in that area. Rafael Varane departed at the end of his contract. They brought in Lenny Yoro, but despite that, they still had that dialogue open with Matthijs de Ligt, and now they've decided to fast forward and accelerate with their negotiations to get this player in for the start of the Premier League season.
Interesting comparison to Yoro, isn't it? Because Yoro's a lot quicker in terms of style of play. What about de Ligt's teammate, Nusa Mazraoui? Both deals gathering pace after Wan-Bissaka's switch to West Ham seemed to move closer. Yeah,
and Mazraoui is also an unused substitute sitting alongside Matthijs de Ligt on the bench yesterday for Bayern Munich in that friendly win over Tottenham. So United have agreed a deal with Bayern Munich around £17.2 million. So United had a lot of details of this deal in place and had an agreement in principle with Bayern Munich over the course of the last few days, really, but they could only accelerate on that once they'd agreed the departure for Wan-Bissaka, and now that has happened. So now United had that full agreement in place with West Ham. They were able to accelerate with this deal so they could fully proceed and sign Mazraoui. Now the fee in the region of £15 million, a right back who can play at left back, and United will feel like they've made an upgrade in that area and they've been able to get £15 million for Wan-Bissaka, somebody out of contract next summer who'd have gone for free, or in January could have signed a pre-contract agreement with a foreign club. So United will feel like they've done good business there. To be 4 signings for the start of the Premier League season. So often they've left it late in the window, but with Zirkzee, they brought in Yoro and potentially Mazraoui and de Ligt in the course of the next few days. They'll feel like it's been a really strong window so far.
Let's focus on Arsenal, who came up just short, didn't they? They played as well yesterday. Ricardo Calafiori made his debut, didn't he? What have you made of their business over the summer? Are they going to close that gap on City this season?
Yeah, that's what they're
so tight.
That's what they'd be hoping for. It was so tight last season, and they didn't do much wrong, did they? They didn't fall away. They stuck with them, went down to that final day. I think Calafiori, is a good signing, can play left back, which is a position I think we said that Arsenal could strengthen in. Can also cover at centre back if needs be. I also think having Timber back fit is key. He's going to be like a new signing for them. So when you look at last season, all of the experience that they've gained and the season previously, this young squad, they'll be ready to go again. They'll be ready to compete again. And you think the signings that they brought in last year were all brilliant. You know, Declan Rice was obviously the standout, but I think there was question marks over Raya, there were question marks over Havertz, and actually at the end we go, oh yeah, I totally get why Arteta did that, and you think, well, it'll be exactly the same with the signings this time. So I just think they'll have learnt from the experiences and they'll go and kick on again.
Do you think they still need to bring in a striker? We know that Havertz played there last season and he did really well for them, but Jesus struggled a little bit with injury. They played, Trossard was played up there as well. Do they just need that out-and-out man to really cut it in the games that really matter? When you think back to those Champions League games and the big games where they came up just short.
I think they do need a striker. I think it's good to have the options, and I think it's nice knowing that off the bench you've got that ability to change a game and change the style of the play at times. I think that's probably what they need to kick on to the next level. I just wonder whether they're waiting with Ivan Toney to really push Brentford to the point where they don't want to lose him for, say, 20 million in January, or even worst case, the year after, lose him for nothing. I think they'll be looking at that situation, but I also think maybe they're just wheeling and dealing a bit. I think Aaron Ramsdale might need to go to raise some funds, and then they'll look at doing a deal for a striker.
Nketiah and Reece Nelson.
Absolutely.
And lost to Mal Smith-Rowe as well.
Manchester United set to announce £51.5 million double signing. Manchester United is on the verge of completing their third and fourth signings of the summer, just in time for their Premier League opener on Friday. Bayern Munich duo Matthijs de Ligt and Nusair Mazraoui are expected to undergo medicals at United's training complex today. United has agreed to a £38.6 million fee, plus £4.3 million in add-ons, for central defender de Ligt, with payments spread over 3 years. The club has also secured a deal for right-back Mazraoui, with an initial fee of £12.9 million. According to club sources, the deals are progressing smoothly, with both players also needing to secure work permits. De Ligt, 24, previously worked with United manager Erik Ten Hag at Ajax, while Mazraoui, 26, also played under Ten Hag at the Amsterdam club. Both players are represented by Rafaela Pimenta, who took over their representation following the passing of Mino Raiola in 2022. Pimenta visited United's Carrington training complex last year, and these anticipated signings would bring the total number of Ten Hag-era United signings who were either born in or played in the Netherlands to 11. Ten Hag had initially wanted to sign De Ligt during his first summer as United manager, but the Dutch defender moved to Bayern from Juventus instead. De Ligt and Mazraoui are expected to be registered in time to be available for United's Premier League opener against Fulham at Old Trafford on Friday night. Their arrival is likely to coincide with the departure of right-back Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who is close to joining West Ham United and could receive a £5.6 million compensation package from United to offset the potential reduction in his wages. Wan-Bissaka, who is in the final year of his contract with United, was signed from Crystal Palace in 2019 for £50 million after the club scouted 804 right-backs. Should his transfer fee to West Ham reach £20 million, United would record a £10 million profit due to amortization, which is the cost of a player's fee spread out over the duration of their time at the club.